the 11th, August 11th. All right, here's your daily devotional. We've been going through Matthew chapter 10, and we're looking at verses 24 and 25. The student is not above the teacher, nor a servant above his master. It is enough for students to be like their teachers and servants to be like their masters. If the head of the house has been called Beelzebul, how much more the members of his household? I've always said Beelzebub. I don't know. I don't know why. Maybe it's written that way in another translation or something. All right. We are continuing on with this series, Harmless as Doves. And all of the things that Jesus is saying is to teach them how to be both wise as serpents, and harmless like doves. That we want to be wise, and think of it in the sense of, as we talked about a couple days ago, on that verse, that we bring the kingdom of heaven to earth, and we do it subversively. So like a snake is stealth, we are stealth, we're strategic, we're wise, but then we're also harmless as doves. Nobody ever got their eye pecked out by a mourning dove, I don't think. Maybe they pooped on your car, but that's about it. And so we want to be harmless like doves. So in this verse, though, Jesus says right before it, he tells them, stand firm to the end. Okay, so think about yesterday. And I said that there are two things really that Jesus gives us instructions. As followers of Jesus, there's two basic things that we need to know and that we need to do. And one of them is to become more like him. And then the second is to stay in the game, to stay faithful to the cause of Christ, to stay faithful to following him. And so yesterday I talked about, if you're still here and to the best of your ability, you are following Jesus, to the best of your ability, you are walking after him, then you are being faithful. You're fulfilling that piece of the call that he has placed on your life. The second one is to become like him. Now it says the student is not above the teacher and the servant is not above the master. And, it's interesting that he puts that first before the next part, because isn't that what we strive for? I mean, the whole, if we summarize everything about sin, is that you and I are trying to become God, right? Ultimately, at the root of everything that we do, at the root of every sin is that we want to be like God, or we want to be God, not necessarily that we want to be like him. We want to be greater than him. Like part of it's not enough for us to just be like Jesus. We want to be better than Jesus. We want to be beyond Jesus, which of course is sometimes painted as legalism, right? We're going to be better than Jesus. We're going to be so much better than Jesus that we can even do it in our own strength. We don't have to do it we don't need the Spirit's help to do it. But Jesus says, it is enough for you to be like the teacher. It is enough for you to be like Jesus. It's more than enough for you to be like him. And there's a place earlier in Matthew's Gospel, chapter 5, where Jesus says, either 5 or 6, I think it's at the end of chapter 5. Jesus says, your righteousness, your holiness needs to surpass that of the Pharisees. The Pharisees knew a lot about God. They could check all the boxes and they could follow all the rules. But Jesus wanted them to, their righteousness to be greater than the Pharisees. In other words, Jesus wants his disciples to be filled with his Spirit so that they can be like him, so that they can love like him, and so they can live like him. We should be so radically changed that it changes us, it changes everything around us, and even changes the systems around us. And so Jesus says, it's enough. It's enough for you to be like me, to be like your master, to be like your teacher. But then he has this interesting statement that he ties to this idea where he says, if the head of the house has been called Beelzebul, how much more the members of this household? So later in Matthew's gospel, we actually see this played out. And Jesus is casting out demons, and the Pharisees and the Sadducees says it's by the spirit of Beelzebub, Beelzebul. Okay, Satan, right? The evil one. It is by the power of the evil one that he drives out these evil spirits, which of course Jesus says, well, how does that make any sense? A house divided against itself cannot stand. And so he's referencing this, that if they're going to say, he's a heretic, basically that's what they're saying. Okay. In first century language, we would say today, Jesus is a heretic. That's what the Pharisees were saying about Jesus. So let's just put that out there. The Pharisees and the Sadducees are calling Jesus a heretic because they believe he's teaching something that is not in line with the Holy Scriptures. And so if Jesus is going to be called the heretic, how much more you and I? If we live like Jesus, if we love like Jesus, if we try to change the systems in this world so that they look a little bit more just like Jesus did, we will be called heretics or worse. All right, so that's my word for you today. Here's a couple takeaways that you can apply for yourself. First of all, do a heart check. Is it more important for you to just know things about God or to have scripture memorized? Or is it more important for the Spirit of Christ to live in you and to be changing you so that you look more like him? And then the other is, are you trying to be the master? Ultimately, we're going to have to lay down and surrender our own will and our own way if we're going to become like Jesus. If we're trying to be our own master, if we're trying to serve our own self, even if we're trying to be greater than him by living, checking all the boxes and living this way without the power of Christ, then we are trying to be the master or usurp him. And so the way up is always down. We surrender ourselves and we die to ourselves in order to become like him, which is the irony. All right. So have a great Wednesday.